He's from CNN. Fake news, the worst fake news.
President Trump has a press conference early this morning and everything gets asked, right? The shooting that happened at the ICE facility, political violence from the radical left, things about Joe Biden, NATO's contribution, how it's now upped to 5% so that America isn't the only, or the largest contributor of NATO. Everything gets asked. Even fake news CNN asked him a question, and Trump's response is pretty funny. You can even hear JD Vance hysterically laugh in the background. This is going to be a really good video. I hope you stick around for the full thing so you understand the entire context of this press conference. All I ask before we get into it is for you guys to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. That's it. It's free to do. Without further ado, here we go.
Erdogan is removing tariffs on U.S. goods, and what impact it would be in U.S. production.
Where are you from?
Turkey.
I see. We have a lot of people from Turkey here. That's good, because I like the questions very much, actually. They're very nice questions. We'll see about tariffs. We're going to be talking about tariffs.
We already removed them.
Well, we're going to be talking about that.
Yeah, for tariffs, the baseline for most countries has been about 15% across the board on everything, but they get access to the American market, and then they also are putting in hundreds of billions of dollars of investments into the American economy. There's no bigger consumer than Americans, right, on the global stage. So 15% baseline tariffs, not too bad. Really good for America, though.
Sanctions on Russia, even if not all NATO countries stop purchasing Russian oil?
We're going to be seeing about that. The NATO countries were disappointing in that regard, but they've been very amazing in other ways. They did, as you know, they went from 2% to 5% GDP, and that's a big step, and it's paid. I mean, they have the money there. And we're selling a tremendous amount of military equipment to NATO. We're selling. We're not giving like Biden did. We're selling it to NATO, and it's a lot. They're buying a lot, and I assume they're giving it to Ukraine. They could buy it for other reasons too, but I assume they're giving most of it to Ukraine. But they're buying highly sophisticated weaponry, and they're paying for it full price. And that's how we're involved. Biden gave $350 billion. Look, this war would have never started if I were president. If I were president, this war would never be happening.
I mean, that was literally confirmed by Putin himself. Putin actually did confirm that when he was in Alaska and they did their joint press conference. It's pretty phenomenal, man. I mean, even with Canada's contribution to NATO has been like 1.4% of the GDP. It's been very embarrassing for the nation of Canada, and upping the ante to not only 2% and making sure that every country hits it, but upping it even further to 5%. We're dealing with real threats, right? China is a growing economy. They're putting a lot of money into their military. Russia's been waiting for an opportunity. North Korea is trigger happy. So we absolutely need to be putting more money into our military, and NATO has to pick up the slack because America has been funding defense for the entire world, the world police.
We had a very good meeting with the representatives of the most powerful countries in the Middle East, and I think we're going to be close to a deal.
Mr. President, we've noticed that in the Ukrainian war and during the Israeli-Iran war, the airspace of the NATO countries is very fragile, and it needs to be stronger. And in that sense, Turkey being the second largest army in NATO, it needs to support its air force and air defense. How do you look at this issue in general as a NATO?
Yeah, we're in NATO, and you know, they're paying now 5% of GDP. Nobody thought that was possible, and they agreed to that 6 months ago when I was there. And the relationship is very good. The NATO countries are, I mean, with us, is the strongest it's ever been. We used to complain that they're paying 2%, but they're not paying. The United States was paying almost everything. And now they're paying 5%, and they paid. And that's trillions of dollars. You know, we're talking about trillions of dollars. And they're spending that, giving that money to us, and we are are giving them great defensive, the Patriots and all of the different javelins, all the different missile systems and everything else that they want. But it's, it's trillions of dollars. So we appreciate that they did that. So they went from 2% to 5% of GDP, and that was something that nobody even would bring up. Biden should have brought it up a long time ago, because under Biden, we paid $350 billion, and all it did is make things worse. So we'll see how.
And countries like Canada, like I've said, have been taking advantage of America and the niceness of the fact that we just share a border, right? America's been subsidizing Canadian trade. America's been protecting Canada for so long, and Canada hasn't been paying its fair share. And that's just one out of the many NATO countries that haven't been pulling their own weight. So this is really good. It's good for the future of NATO. It's good for the future of just prevention of World War III, hopefully.
I like this guy. I like him. He's from CNN. Fake news, the worst fake news, but I like him. So
that's a nice change. You see JD Vance pop his head in.
Go.
Syria has been a major issue between the two countries for the past decade. And you said the future of Syria is in Erdogan's hands back in, I think, December and January. And the countries are in the process of integrating racial fractures into the main government. When do you want to see that happen?
Well, I think President Erdogan is the one responsible for Syria, for the successful fight in ridding Syria of its past leader. And I think this man is responsible. He doesn't take the responsibility, but it's actually a great achievement. They've been trying to do it for 2,000 years. I said, he does it. He did it. I mean, they're your surrogates. I think you should take the credit for it. I told him, take the credit. For 2,000 years, you've been trying to take over Syria. He took over Syria, and he doesn't want to take the credit. All of those people are his surrogates. But the leader of Syria, the new leader, as you know, I took sanctions off in order to let them breathe, because the sanctions were very strong. But I think we should have a major announcement today. He was responsible for that victory. It was a victory for Turkey, because they've been fighting, as you know, for like 1,000 years. And it never went, it was back and forth, but he's responsible for that. So he would have a lot to say with respect to Syria. But at his request, I took, and the request also of the King of Saudi Arabia, it's very interesting, and Qatar, they said, if you could take the sanctions. We had very strong sanctions. They couldn't have lived with those sanctions, and I took them off to give them a chance to breathe. But the president was one of the people that was responsible for that. He asked me to do it. I did it.
Mr. President, furloughs are very typical when the government shuts down. Why is the administration directing federal layoffs of federal workers this time around?
Well, this is all caused by the Democrats. They asked us to do something that's totally unreasonable. They never change. They want to give money away to illegally, people that entered our country illegally. They want to give them massive federal money. And we don't want to do that, because it means everyone's going to just keep pouring back. Right now, we have absolutely perfect borders like you haven't seen in many years. Even better than I had great borders during my 4 years, but these borders are stone cold closed. You can only come into our country legally now. But the Democrats want to give it all away. They want to open up the borders. Take a look at that. Big thing. They want to open borders again after what we're going through now, getting rid of prisoners, getting rid of all of these people dropped out from mental institutions, drug dealers, drug addicts, everything. They're putting everybody into our country. It's all ended now. But this is what Schumer wants. This is what the Democrats want. They want to and they want to take our money. We're doing well because of tariffs. We're doing unbelievable. We're making more money than we ever have made. And by the way, we're going to take some of that tariff money that we made, just to get off the subject for a second. We're going to take some of that tariff money that we made. We're going to give it to our farmers, who are, for a little while, going to be hurt until it kicks in. The tariffs kick into their benefit. So we're going to make sure that our farmers are in great shape, because we're taking in a lot of money. We're finding, the other day, it was very interesting, they found $31 billion. They said, sir, we found 31. I said, you mean positively, right? They said, yeah, 31 million more than we knew. And they said, we don't know where it came from. I said, check the tariff shelf. They came back the following morning. They said, you're right, sir, it came from the tariffs. We've never seen anything like this. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking some money from all of the tariff money that we've taken, and we're going to distribute it to our farmers until the tariffs kick into their benefit, which ultimately the farmers are going to be making a fortune. But it's a process of it has to kick in. All right, maybe one more.
There was another shooting at an ICE facility in Texas yesterday.
Terrible.
Detainees were killed. The FBI director posted on social media bullets that were engraved with the message anti-ICE.
Right.
He just posted another thing on social media saying they recovered a handwritten note from the subject that read, hopefully this will give ICE agents real terror to think, is there a sniper with AP rounds on that roof? Who do you hold responsible for the uptick in left-wing violence in the country?
Radical left rhetoric. The radical left is causing the problem. They're out of control. They're saying things, and they're really dumb people. I mean, I look at Crockett. I look at some of these people. They're very low IQ people, actually. But the radical left is causing this problem, not the right, the radical left. And it's going to get worse, and ultimately it's going to go back on them. I mean, bad things happen when they play these games. And I'll give you a little clue. The right is a lot tougher than the left. But the right's not doing this. They're not doing it, and they better not get them energized, because it won't be good for the left. And I don't want to see that happen either. I'm the president of all the people. But the radical left is causing this. The radical left Democrats are causing this problem, and it gets worse. It gets worse, and it'll be a point where other people won't take it anymore, and that will not be good for the radical left, and we don't want that. Okay, thank you.
Mr. President, it seems like an indictment of James Comey is imminent. Would this be the first step in accountability for pushing the hoax of Russia, along with Barack Obama involved as well?
Well, I can't tell you what's going to happen because I don't know. You have very professional people headed up by the Attorney General and Todd Blanche and Lindsay Halligan, who's very smart, good lawyer, very good lawyer. They're going to make a determination. I'm not making that determination. I think I'd be allowed to get involved if I want, but I don't really choose to do so. I can only say that Comey's a bad person. He's a sick person. I think he's a sick guy, actually. He did terrible things at the FBI. And but I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
So that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes the video. I'd love to know what you guys think about this. Was this a good interview and a good press conference for Trump? Did he keep the reporters in check? And is the left really the ones that are committing most of the political violence? My answer is that the left, the radical left, has been, absolutely taking over North America. We see it in Canada. We see it in America. We see the rise of political violence, and something needs to happen. And thank goodness, thank God that we have President Trump to get the job done. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more content like this. I'll see you guys in another one. Bye for now.